Good evening, my fellow aquarium scientists. Hope everybody is doing well. Sorry for the change of background. I couldn't find the little table that I usually put my laptop on. So I decided to just keep the laptop on the computer desk, I guess. But sorry, I was supposed to go live at 5 o'clock. I didn't have anything set up. I was out and about, hanging out with some friends. And then had some errands to run, and so I was running a little bit late, but decided to go live anyway. So we'll give it a couple of moments for people to trickle in. Ooh, excuse me. Since I set up this live stream a bit, I've noticed, not sure the notification's going to go out enough, or quickly, I should say, but it's okay. Ooh, excuse me. Also, please let me know if the audio visual is good as well. People who do tell me if it's good aren't here yet. Actually, I'm going to do that later. Let me close this out. I was going to fix something, but I'll just worry about it later. Hello there, Scotty. Thank you very much for stopping by. Audio visual is great, minus the fact we can't see the fish tanks. Yeah, I can't find the stand or the table that I put my laptop on. So, so you're not going to see that as a background. But they're okay. They're over there. I'm currently on my computer desk. And I don't have a green screen, otherwise there'd be something else in the back end. But the green screen feature doesn't really work well with laptops. It's more of a desktop thing. So, but it's okay. Hello there, Barbara. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hope all is well. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't able to schedule a live stream for today because I wasn't sure if I was going live. Sorry. Because I had to go. I went to the aquarium today because I had friends coming. A good friend of mine from college who wanted to go to the aquarium, and I didn't see her for a while, and so wanted to hang out with her. And after that, I had to go run some errands. That took a little bit, and then came home. And I literally just got home and turned on the computer and set up the live stream. So don't even know if the notification went out for like the fish fan thing or not, but it's okay. We'll slowly get people in. I don't even have a desktop computer anymore, just laptop and phone. Yeah. Yeah, I currently have, I mean, we have a desktop computer in the house, but it's more of a gaming desktop computer. So and it's my cousin's. But I am hoping at some point, if I save up enough, to get a desktop. Um, I think it'll just make things a little bit easier because right now I mainly do everything on my laptop, which is, I mean, it's okay. It's portable, but I kind of like working on a desktop too. Going to have to leave in a bit for a clash committee Zoom. That's right. You do have a meeting today. That's okay. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah, because I don't even think this live stream is going to be that long anyway. But um, all the tanks are good. Um, the Vienna guppies are giving out fry again. It's mainly because I got another pair of Vienna guppies that I put in that tank. So I started seeing some babies, so I'm back at feeding baby brine shrimp, frozen baby brine shrimp. But um, it's pretty exciting because I wasn't seeing a lot of babies in there for a while, but now I'm seeing little specks swimming around. So pretty excited about that. Scarlet endlers, I have two females now. The males are all gone, unfortunately, but what I have in there, they're fine. Um, the plant racks for Atlantic aquariums, everything seems to be doing okay. Interestingly enough, all the crypts that I have in there, none of them have melted yet. Uh, um, I had one pot of the Lobelia cardinalis that was remaining. It's starting to get to the end of its life in the pot for me. So I might end up either just pulling it out and planting in one of the tanks or tossing it out. But everything else is fine. The Ludwigia palustris super red that came from the Tropica shipment that I got in earlier is doing very well. I'm gonna probably make like a little video to post because it's growing and the because it's a stem plant where the roots are like coming out of the stems, which is common for a lot of stem plants. Um, so it's growing, and obviously the tank is shallow, so it's already at the top. I actually have to trim it down, but like the growth at the top of the water level, where the light is the brightest, is like it's bright red, and it's really cool. So I was pretty happy that the Ludwigia is doing well. Figures I have it in the tank where the light is right above it, and it's also their CO2 injection. So I think, and I'm also kind of micro dosing fertilizer as well. And when I say micro dosing, I mean I'm only putting just a little bit in there at a time and testing the water just to make sure that the nutrients are elevated enough that it's feeding the plants, because there's no livestock in there, so there's nothing to feed that those nutrients to those plants. So I have to fertilize, but I'm doing it in small increments and not squirting in there because I don't want to screw something up and there be a bunch of algae. The tiger lotus is growing really well. The pink flamingo is still okay. The swords are fine. So yeah, the cryptocastata, some of the plants that I potted, some of there was a little bit of melting or die off. That's normal. I just have to go in there and like trim them off. But I am seeing newer growth, and what's interesting is with the castata, the newer growth that I'm getting in isn't green. It's like a brownish, reddish, like muddy color, which is very interesting. Um, Look who we have here, the skipper. I have not seen you in a while, my friend. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. We miss you in D&D. Hello there, Fish Fan. Thank you very much for stopping by. Almost had a hope for Saltwater Club being at Clash. Then they found out TFP is hosting a reef conservation frag swap that weekend. God. I am really disappointed in this in the marine community. I'm really disappointed. Like I don't understand, and Scotty, me and you, we've had so many discussions about this. And I'm just so disappointed at it. I'm disappointed at the fact that it's so difficult to get saltwater people to this place. And it's so frustrating because I'm also kind of involved in a different event. It's a pet event. It's not just fish, it's everything. Um, but they've never had like an aquatic section, right? And so the person in charge of that event has been in touch with me because I did participate in that event. I was the only aquatics vendor there, and so he's been asking me for help to get more aquatic representation into the event, which I have also been pushing them to do, because fish are pets. You know, pets aren't just the fluffy animals; they're also reptilian, avian, and aquatic. And at a show like that, there should be and there has to be aquatic representation. And so I've been helping them and guiding them and giving them suggestions of who to contact and things like that. And nobody is coming to it. And it's really frustrating. It's frustrating for them because they really want an aquatic section. And it's frustrating for me because I'm literally giving them contacts for who I know are very eager to sponsor and support events like that is related to aquatics in general, and they're not getting any replies or feedbacks. And so it's just like, even if you're not interested, say something. Don't just leave them hanging or don't reply back. I'm That's one of my biggest pet peeves is like, if I get in touch with you and you're not interested in anything I have to say or whatever the case might be, just reply back that you're not. You're not going to get my feelings hurt. But the fact that I'm even more involved with the Clash, I enjoy the Clash and I want there to be more saltwater representation, because regardless if you're a saltwater enthusiast or a freshwater enthusiast, you're keeping an aquarium. And this is an aquarium event. It's not the Keystone Clash freshwater event. It's not the Keystone Clash saltwater event. It's the Keystone Clash all species aquarium event, which means there should be saltwater people there, and there's not. And it's really been frustrating me, the fact that Scotty and the team have been trying really hard to get people there, vendors, clubs, whatever have you, and nobody's biting it. And I'm very disappointed in the saltwater community, very disappointed. They're not giving the community a good name, in my opinion. Sorry, got a little over what's the word I'm looking for, you know what I mean. Crips are my favorite, but probably because they do the best in my water. Yeah, yeah. People don't realize that plants have, they have water requirements, chemistry requirements, just like fish do. Some plants don't do well in hard water. If you have hard water, they're not going to do well. Um, some don't do well in very acidic, soft water. You know, and crips are one of those plants where they're easy to maintain, but they can also be a pain in the butt. Hello there, M. Myers. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. It looks like it's going to be storming outside because when I pulled into my driveway, there were clouds and there was like specks of rain on my windshield. So, but anyway, that's my tangent with saltwater Keystone Clash. Um, so yeah, plants are okay, fish are good. Um, Macroalgae tank, a lot of progress, except there's one setback, which I have to figure out how to do. It's related to the filter. Um, the intake pipe is too long for the 10-gallon, and so I have to cut it, which seems like it's definitely doable. It's just I have to figure out how, because I don't have anything to cut it with, and it's like a hard plastic. So I have to cut it to length so that it fits into the 10 gallon. Um, that's one design flaw that I have with the Oase Filto Smarts is I wish the intake was more telescopic so you can adjust it to the appropriate height instead of it being just one solid tube. But you know, so that's the only setback. But other than that, I already have a list of macroalgae that I want to get for it. My goal was to get the macroalgae from my local fish store. It's still my number one thing. I'm gonna actually, the next time I go there, I'm gonna ask them if they're able to get certain species or just a variety in general of macroalgae because they have some macroalgae there, but I would rather them have a bit more variety. That way, I can then get all of it at the same time, and um, so basically, I don't have to source them from multiple locations. And I would just prefer to just get it from my local fish store instead of paying extra shipping and getting it in, and yada yada yada. But regardless, there are a few online retailers, Seahorse Savvy being one of them, that I'm going to I'll most likely end up getting macroalgae from. I kind of want to reach out to some of them to see if they are willing to donate livestock for this setup. If not, it's totally fine. I'm still going to buy it. Um, but in terms of the funds that I received from the people who generously sponsored for the thing, I have used up all of that funding. So I've basically gotten the list that I had for the equipment and supplies. I've gotten pretty much all of that. The only thing I need to get are a few more maintenance supplies. Um, I'm going to hold off on the fertilization for now until I get the macroalgae in there and I kind of observe and see how they do. I do think because I am going to have some livestock in there, so macroalgae are really good sponges for nutrients. So I have to basically test the waters to make sure they're getting enough because some of the species of macroalgae that I want to get really suck up nutrients, and so I might have to at least get like a small bottle of the different fertilizers that I need for the system. But that's just something that I have to do as it's being set up and it's cycling and things like that. So still got a ways to go in regards to the livestock. But in terms of the equipment and supply, in terms of the equipment, we're good to go. The only thing I'm waiting for is a leveling mat to put under the tank. Um, because the stand that I'm putting it on, it should be fine without it, but I'm just cautious like that. And so I'm just gonna wait until I get that leveling mat. I'm gonna cut it to size, and we should be good to go. I have started recording videos, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I am kind of also panicking a little bit because I've held off on it a bit too long, and we're already getting close to the middle of August, and then I have basically the month of September to get this tank ready for the Clash because the Clash is, October 4th to the 6th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty. But yeah, so I've got a little bit of, I'm trying not to rush it, but it's like, I'm putting my foot on the gas, so I have to like really get things going now. So that's where my focus has been a lot. Um, is getting that macroalgae tank ready. Hey there, Coral. How you doing, bud? Hope you're doing all right. If the event wasn't happening at TFP, we would probably have a few saltwater vendors. I mean, whatever. Hey Matt, how you doing? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while on this channel, at least. But I mean, to be fair, I haven't been really active on live stream, so I haven't seen a lot of people. Um, I really like Nautilus Macro. If you can order from them, they even have full salt acclimated sea porcelains, so you can grow it like pothos out of the top of your tank. Cool. Do you? Oh, hey, Alisha. Hope you're doing all right. Do you have access to different macroalgae by working at the aquarium? Do employees, volunteers collect from local waters? So answer to the first question, no, we do not have macroalgae anywhere in the facility, at least from what I know. I don't think um, none of our exhibits have live macroalgae. Um, and in terms of collections, we do not collect anything from local waterways. I don't think we collect anything from anywhere, to my knowledge. We do a lot of culturing in house, aquaculturing in house. We have breeding programs, and then we get a lot of you get a lot of fish from like wholesalers in general. But these are places that are approved by the AZA, the Association for Zoos and Aquariums, for sustainable collecting. But I don't think like staff actually go out. I might be wrong. I do believe at some point they did actually go out for collecting. I just don't know what. But it's rare. We usually get stuff sent over, or staff goes to a location to get fish that they ordered, um, or are trading in, or whatever the case might be. But we don't collect anything from local waterways. My goal was to find reputable sources where I can get as clean of macroalgae as possible, because macroalgae is known to get hitchhikers into your tank, and I do not want anything to hitchhike into my thing. It's practically impossible. But I'm trying to find reputable sources that offer, good quality macroalgae. And I have a few things. The problem with me going to my local waterways to collect is the places that I'm familiar with, where I know for a fact I can get macroalgae, is too long of a drive, and I don't have it in me to do that as of right now, unless other people want to go with me. Um, but yeah. Yeah, where did the summer go? They put out Halloween candy already in the grocery store. Absolutely. I am excited for spooky season. I'm not a summer guy. I am a fall guy. Every day is spooky day for me. Uh, so if you've ever seen like posts of people, they make jokes where like it's 4th of July, all the fireworks go off, yada yada, and it's the next day, and then they start playing this Halloween. I'm like that. I'm like, let's go. There's no other event, there's no other holiday coming up between 4th of July and Halloween. It is Halloween now. So that is all that I care about. Sea purslane is unrelated to regular purslane, if I remember right. It's a succulent that grows on the dunes, etc. Nice. Surprise, there is no local collection of fish algae for a local coastal biotope. We don't have any of that. Um, that being said, when I was there in 2017, we did have an exhibit for Manhattan. It was to depict schooling behavior, and that was collected locally. I do know that, but unfortunately, they were just very difficult to take care of. Um, Very messy. There was a lot of maintenance that had to be done on their exhibit, so they decided to just get rid of that exhibit. So that's the only thing I could think of that was collected locally by the aquarium. But in terms of like a local biotope or anything, which is interesting, I don't know why they don't have that anything like that, but The only thing that we have that is native to New Jersey are the diamondback terrapins, so we have an exhibit for them. Um, but yeah, we don't do anything like that. And even if there was, I don't think I would be able to get anything from there. Every single living thing that goes into those doors in that building is highly regulated, highly protected. Like they're very strict with the protocols there. So I would not be able to bring anything out of that building for this tank. Um, Especially if it's something for an exhibit. So yeah, the it's a good idea, Alishan, but not gonna work. But yeah, so that's the story with the macroalgae tank. Um, Still got a lot of work, but I'm doing my best. Um, because recently I've been very drained, um, and just tired in general. So I'm trying, and it started really weighing on me. So I've been trying to take some of the load off. Um, I'm actually planning on requesting a few days off from work just so I can relax for a little bit, especially before the fall semester starts. Um, which I really did not want to do because I can't afford to request off, but I think I need to do that. So I just have to figure out when. But but yeah, so that is pretty much all I have to talk about. I was gonna mention something about the business, but it's nothing really major. Um, but yeah, yeah, hard to do that nowadays, especially for me. Um, but yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to think if I'm missing anything. I'm also distracted by the fish swimming over here. It's interesting because when I was sitting there with the tanks behind me, I wouldn't really get that distracted. But the fact that they're like right over right over there, I'm like I keep looking over there just seeing fish swimming through because it's a pretty cool view from this angle. Um, but but yeah, so um, notifications. The Atlantic Aquariums is doing okay. Nothing major. Um, the aquarium section I did not remove. I hid on the website, but it's going to be brought back up with some changes to what is available, because I have access to new wholesalers that have more variety of tanks and full sets and some filtrations and things like that. um, so I'm gonna have that on the website and have and bring it and publicize it again. Um, so I'm pretty excited about that. Uh, Other than that, nothing major. Got one order the yesterday, for some Dennerley Rio Zingu gravel. So that's gonna be shipped out this week. But other than that, nothing major. Mm, but yeah, if anybody has any other questions or anything they wanted to discuss, the floor is open. I love that fish are distracting part of why I keep them. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're it's just they might just be hiding, right? and I'll just stare at the tank just like that, and just zone out. I mean, obviously, I have guppies in there, and they're just swimming around, and so, but it's something with the angle from what I'm seeing. You get to see like a wider picture that it's not normal because we did where I'm sitting right now. Me and my mother cleaned a lot. Like we organized some stuff, we got rid of some stuff, and it got to the point where I could put my laptop on this computer desk and work. So I can sit and work, so I don't have to be on my bed all the time. And the fish are right here. So so sometimes I'll be working and then I'll just look over there and just zone out and be like, okay, I have to go back to work now. Which I do enjoy. Because I'm looking at one of the male Vienna guppies, and he is looking gorgeous. Because I've been trying to see, because I'm very interested in bringing some of the fish I have to the fish show. I don't expect to win anything. I just think it's a cool experience. So I'm trying to figure out who I want to bring over because I have some guppies in there that are not true Vienna guppies. They don't have the correct pattern. I just wasn't able to cull them in time. But he's still a gorgeous male. Um, so I might just end up bringing him and a female because I think you for live bears you have to have a pair. Scotty, if you're still there, you can correct me on that. And then I might just, because I don't really want that male in here at least. I'll just put him in the auction. Um, some of the one plant in here, the what was it called? It's not Ludwigia. What's the other very popular stem plant? That's gonna bug me. Anyway, there's a stem plant in the guppy 10-gallon tank that I got from last year's clash, and it's doing very well. It's growing very well. Um, what I've been doing is just clipping. No, no, Barbara, it's not Bacopa. There is Bacopa in there, but it's not Bacopa. Um, that's gonna bother me now. Is it Ludwigia? Hang on one second. Rotala. There it is. Sorry, Rotala. I have Rotala in there that is doing very well. And then next to the Rotala is the Bacopa australis, which was actually clipping. So when I was trimming the Bacopa I did have for sale, I was like, let me just plant it in there. And I did, and it's been growing very well. But anyway, I've been, whenever, because right now it's due for trimming again. Whenever I trim it, I do replant it. I try not to toss it out, and it's doing really cool. I might end up trimming some of it and potting it and bringing it to the clash, because why not? But we'll see. Because I'm curious to know that if I trim it and pot it, because where I have it in right now, not only is it not getting sufficient lighting because of the floating plants, there's no CO2 in there either. And with Rotala, you kind of want, it does really well in CO2. But obviously, higher lighting, you get a good color because this one is the Rotala species orange juice, and so it's supposed to have like an orangey reddish color to it, which it does towards the top, really top of it, where the light really penetrates it. Um, but I know it can do better than that. It can look better than that. So I might trim a few stems and pot it and put it in the retail tank where it's getting more lighting and there's CO2 in there. And I'm just curious to see how it does in there. Um, Yes, Alishan. But Algae Barn is out of stock on some of the macroalgae that I want, but they are on the list. Um, because there's Algae Barn, which I actually prefer because they have the cleanest algae in the market, at least. Um, Seahorse Savvy is another one, just because I just want to. I've never got anything from Seahorse Savvy, and I think some of the livestock that I'm going to get will come from Seahorse Savvy. But then there's a few other shops that I've found that sell a good variety of macroalgae that I'm looking through. But um, but yeah, because there are some good reputable macroalgae specific stores, online stores. But the problem is that they themselves even state that there's a risk of hitchhikers coming in with this macroalgae, and I'm just not, you know, for the type of tank I'm trying to set up and the fact that it's going to be raffled off, I do not really want any issues popping up, especially considering that I don't have enough time to really get it dialed down, if that makes sense. But we'll see. Uh, but yeah, that's all I got. I actually want to get a better. Actually, let's look up something real quick. I want to look up that plant that Koro was mentioning. Because to be honest, I am not familiar with it. Oh, wow. Yeah, I have seen that. Like when I go out to the beach or the dunes, I do believe I've seen that plant. Also, I'm just noticing now that my hair is not looking good right now. So that's what that looks like. Interesting. Very interesting. And it's obviously a flowering plant, so that's what that looks like. Huh. And apparently Nautilus Macro has that. Well, that's cool to know. If somebody wants to make like a brackish or saltwater paludarium or terrarium even, maybe you can get that plant. I think it would be cool. And it looks like it grows with runners on the surface of the sand. Yeah, like a meadow of sea porcelain. Sesuvium portilacastrum. Fascinating. Very fascinating. Cool. Oh my lord, excuse me. Okay, so sorry, the lights are starting to shut off. That's all I have really to talk about. Unless anybody else has anything they wish to uh talk about. Sorry, give me 1 second here. It really does look a lot like terrestrial porcelain. Yeah. I mean, what is there a difference between, because that looks like terrestrial porcelain. It's on a it doesn't look like it's aquatic by any means. Yeah, it looks very similar, except sea porcelain is in sand, this is in soil. So I guess that, and then there's different. The flowers seem to look different as well, which is interesting. Cool, very cool. Um, Excuse me, I need a nap. Okay. Um, I appreciate you guys coming on to with such short notice. Um, and hanging out. Um, it also must be resistant to salt wind. Yeah, could be. I mean, also, if you think about it, a lot of plants and vegetation that um, grows near salt water, they have the ability to secrete the salt out, if that makes sense. So, like for example, if you have if you have mangroves that are saltwater, so I believe black mangrove and what's that other species of mangrove? I don't know. There's a few species of mangrove, like red mangrove is great for freshwater. Black mangrove is great for saltwater and brackish. And those mangrove trees that you have growing in salt marshes and things like that, you generally have to spray their leaves because it gets a lot of it secretes the salt as it's taking in the water. It secretes that salt because it just needs fresh water. And so you generally would spray fresh water on it to get that salt off. And I believe a lot of plants that have access, their only access source is salt water. They have the ability to secrete the salt that's coming out. So that's something I would think the sea porcelain would also do. If it's growing too close to the water, where when it's high tide, it's being exposed to that salt water, that it's resistant, or it just takes water out. Because when you're on a beach, you do have to understand that if you were to dig down, and you may have seen videos of it, that if you dig down deep enough, you're gonna start seeing the salt water, the seawater, um, because here's the water and here's the beach. So here's the water, here's the sand, but there are times where this is a bad diagram, um, where there's a water table. So you have the sand coming up out of the water, right? That's your beach, but the water that's here is still going through that sand in a sense. That's why dunes are very important because they help break the waves and take up most of the energy of the water as a flood's coming in or something like that, or during a storm or a hurricane, um, because salt is porous to an extent, so water can go through it very, very easily, just like gravel. Um, so you know, so there is instances of plants like sea porcelain or anything like that that has access to that salt water and is able to extract that salt water but excrete the salt because it doesn't need the salt. Um, At least that's my understanding of it. I'm not a marine botanist. I'm a fish and coral guy. So, but if I am correct, I hope my professor who teaches botany, you know, sees this video maybe and is proud of me. Even though I didn't take that class. Um, I didn't know that about the secreting salt. Very cool. Yeah, I know. I definitely know mangroves do that. But I'm just using logic to kind of think that, if you're a plant growing in a marsh, but you're out of the water, you're obviously taking that water in, but you've got to excrete that salt because the salt isn't really going to help you out that much. So, there has to be a way for it to excrete that salt out of that water, so it can only take in that fresh water. Um, but yeah. Anyway, um, again, thank you guys for chiming in. Hope you guys learned something. Um, um, Make sure if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're watching the replay, thank you very much for stopping by. Sorry you missed the live stream, but make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss a future live stream or video in general. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Gives me a bit of a confidence boost. Um, and I would love if you guys, especially if you're watching the replay, in the comments, just write down certain topics that you're interested in that you would like me to discuss, or questions, or anything like that. Because I always love answering questions to the best of my ability. Um, and so I would appreciate it if you did that, if you have any. Um, And with that being said, take care. If you're in the area where there's a storm of brewing, then, be careful. Make sure you're doing your water changes, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.